We're going to open up the floor and hear from the faithful on today's San Francisco 49ers Report. I'm Chase Sr. Always love hearing from our loyal subscribers. Every time we go live, we ask you to send in some questions, but also pass along your analysis as it pertains to San Francisco. So without further ado, let's dive into those questions right now. Hope you all enjoyed the show. Steven Sierra, $10 super chat. What up, Big Chase? Niners have a big money lineup. What is it going to take to keep this team together? San Francisco has been very smart with the ways that they have signed some of these contract extensions. And there are always financial gymnastics in which you can pull off. I like to joke around that the salary cap is not real, and I'm partially kidding. I'm half joking. It is a real thing because there's a number that you have to stay under, and there's a certain amount of money that you're able to spend. But there are so many different nuances financially that you can pull off and maneuver in order to open up money. For instance, you think about the big money deals that are paid to some of the players on this 49ers team. Trent Williams, Kyle Juszczyk, Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, and then they make a trade for Chase Young. They make a trade for Randy Gregory, and they still have the most cap space in the NFL between 35 and upwards of $39 million. And a reason that you're able to stay under the cap is contract restructures. You backload some of the contracts. You add a signing bonus within some of these deals. There are a bunch of different things that you can do in order to maintain this core of players together. And keep in mind that Brandon Ayuk's going to be due for a contract extension next offseason. Brock Purdy, before long, is going to be due for a big deal if he continues to play this way. Talanoa Hufanga, if his ACL recovery comes along well, you might want to retain an Aaron Banks. So San Francisco is going to have to continue to be smart. So far, they've been able to do that. Parag is very good with the money, strict with it, but very good with it. Nicholas Garrett, $15 super chat. The only game left on our schedule that worries me is the Baltimore Ravens on Christmas Day. What do you think? Well, you know what I think? I think that we're not going to be taking a break on Christmas Day. I'm going to be spending it with the faithful, and we're going to be live for a watch party. So that's going to be a lot of fun. The Niners' remaining schedule: Seattle on Sunday, Cardinals, Ravens, Commanders, Rams. I'm with Nicholas Garrett. I think the Ravens are the only threat. San Francisco has an opportunity to either win out or go 4-1 over their last 5 games. And if they're able to do that, they'll stay in the running for the number 1 seed, potentially get that number 2 seed. Baltimore's a really good team. Lamar Jackson is an alien with his ability to use his legs, improvise. He's also been an underrated thrower of the football his entire career. And every year it seems as though he's gotten better. This year, I know that Baltimore is without Mark Andrews, but that receiving core is as good as it's been under Lamar for his entire career. And that defense, they can bring it. They are legit. They have dogs at all 3 levels. So Nicholas Garrett making a good point right there. Speaking of our watch party schedule, we're back at it Sunday. We don't miss a watch party here on the 49ers Report. Every game, we are live. Pre-game show starts an hour before kickoff, 3:05 p.m. Eastern, 12:05 p.m. Pacific. Today's show sponsored by Prize Picks, by the way, largest independently run daily fantasy sports app in North America, and you can get a $100 deposit match at prizepicks.com/CLNS. This is daily fantasy sports made easy, and if you want to continue to tail us, I suggest that you do so because we've given you a lot of winners this year. Like we did last week for Niners Eagles, we're going to run it back on Sunday as well for Niners Seahawks. We had Christian McCaffrey and Jalen Hurts, more than a half rushing touchdown. Hassan Reddick, more than 0.75 sacks. And George Kittle, more than 47.5 receiving yards. He was able to surpass that number in the first half alone. So one more time, prizepicks.com/CLNS, code CLNS for a $100 deposit match. You put in $100, you get $100 back. To John Wallace now, what could derail us from finishing off the season and winning all the rest of our games? That Ravens game, I think, stands in the way of San Francisco going undefeated. It's always difficult to go across the country like the Niners are going to have to do against the Washington Commanders. An injury, though, is the only thing that could keep the Niners from continuing to play this level of football. I do want to see them shore up the tackling a little bit. That's something that needs to be a little bit better. Also, as we look ahead, if San Francisco gets that 2 seed and they have to face a team like the Green Bay Packers in the first round, it's a difficult matchup against an improving Green Bay squad and an improving quarterback in Jordan Love. I know you asked about the regular season. That's me looking ahead to the playoffs. Daywalker, how long will the Niners keep Juice on the team? I'm not sure. It is a very fair question, especially considering that things are going to get a little bit tight financially for this organization because of all of the big money that they're paying to the players that we talked about earlier. And on top of the players that we were talking about, Charvarius Mooney-Ward is making about $14 million per year. Fred Warner, highly paid player. Dre Greenlaw, you might want to sign him to a contract extension. So would you rather have a cheap fullback and pay and allocate that money elsewhere to a position that might mean a little bit more? Yeah, that would make sense. But I will say this. The 49ers love Kyle Juszczyk, and Kyle Juszczyk is the unsung hero. I know you might look at his stats and say that he doesn't do anything. He does a lot, and he makes a lot of plays that end up resulting in big plays for other players. Tom Daly, Chase, how do you think the defensive line will do against the Sea Chickens without Eric Armstead? I think the Niners will fare well without Eric Armstead against a team like Seattle. Now, if you're without him against a team like the Baltimore Ravens, then you might struggle a little bit just because of Baltimore's ability to run the football, Lamar Jackson being a running threat too. I'm frankly excited to see how Javon Kinlaw can play coming off the 2-sack performance that he had against the Eagles. I want to see what Kalia Davis can do after he notched his first career sack against the Eagles last week. That'll kind of be a more heavier defensive tackle rotation with those two players being involved alongside Javon Hargrave. If you hate the Sea Chickens, I hate this football team. I want you to type F Seattle in the chat right now. They always drive me crazy. Next up, let's go to AFX Apocalypse. Sign Colin Kaepernick. Why would the 49ers do that with the healthy Brock Purdy? Doesn't really make a lot of sense. Do you want Colin Kaepernick to take the place of Sam Darnold? I know that Sam Darnold has been very mid, but Colin Kaepernick hasn't played in a long-ass time. And this is one of those stories that kind of comes back every single year. Kaepernick wants to play. He wants to come back. He has not played since 2016. That was 7 years ago. Think about that. Trace was a junior in high school. I had just graduated college. Think about what you were doing back in 2016. Let us know down in the comments section. It's a long time. Envy Richard. After Brock Purdy gets a contract extension, what players do you think we will lose? Now, that's not going to happen for another couple of years. Honestly, though, if I'm San Francisco, you might try to get ahead of the pack, and you might try to sign him to a deal that's more team-friendly, like in, next off-season? 2 off-seasons? I mean, that's just me kind of floating an idea that just came across my mind. But, you're going to have to make some difficult decisions, and part of the reason why there's pressure on this Niners organization to win right now is because once you pay your quarterback big-time dollars, you're not able to have as deep or as talented as a roster because you simply do not have that same amount of money as you did as compared to when Brock Purdy. Right now, he might be the best bargain deal in the entire NFL. He's making around $1 million this year. That's crazy with the level of play that he's giving this team. So you want to capitalize with him being on his rookie contract, 2 more years on that rookie deal. And then when you sign him, I'm not even sure what this team is going to look like. Because when you think about this team right now compared to the team that was in the 2019 Super Bowl, there are not a lot of holdovers from this year's team that played on that 2019 Super Bowl team. So things change very quickly at the NFL level. Edgar, does anyone else feel weird having to root for the Cowboys this weekend? It's actually kind of a lose-lose for San Francisco. You don't want the Cowboys to get the number 1 seed. You don't want the Eagles to get the number 1 seed. If the Cowboys win, Philadelphia and Dallas have the same record. Dallas has a much more tough schedule to round out the regular season as compared to Philadelphia. But anytime you're rooting for Dallas, something weird has to happen. And if you are, F Dallas as well. Garcia brothers, real ones. Super Bowl prediction, Niners-Ravens. What do you think, Chase? I like the way that San Francisco is playing right now. I do like the Ravens to come out of the AFC. I'm with you. I don't think that the Chiefs are the same team. You know, the Bengals I really like, but they don't have Joe Burrow, so they're done. It might be too difficult of a path for Buffalo, and I also think that they just have lapses on that roster. Miami Dolphins, can they go on the road and win a game in the cold? I'm not sure that they're going to be able to do that. We'll see what happens with Trevor Lawrence's ankle injury. I like the makeup of that Jags team. Don't sleep on them either. Either way, NFC, AFC playoffs. Going to be a lot of fun, but I like that one, Garcia. I think you might be onto something. If you want to interact with me, hit me up on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Chase_Senior. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for daily and year-round coverage of San Francisco.